All right, here we go again. Why is this so quiet? Goes back and forth. It's crazy. All right, not loud enough yet. Test the audio. I guess we're somewhere with that. All right, so uh, the Democrats don't have to say this is not about, oh, the Republicans were right. Get your people away from firearms. If you have to diss ICE, you diss them all day long, diss them in this direction. Say, it's dangerous out there, there's firearms out there, which is really the truth, which that's really what causes it to be reckless endangerment to a certain degree. You're sending your people into danger. Well, I've been a law enforcement officer. When you go in, you're cool and collected pretty much, but you got that edge on. You make that noise that you're all making, that edge gets higher. Okay, so here's an example. You go into a house looking for a fugitive. Where's Edward? I think he's at his girlfriend's house. And it's pretty obvious that Edward's not at the girlfriend's house. Then you hear a thump in the back hallway. What's that? Who's that? So you're the thump in the back hallway. Because we don't know if Edward has a gun to begin with. But Edward's got a vehicle now, and that thing, that'll take you out quicker than a gun. Right. So again, there's a lot going on. You're trying to cause stress in the life of law enforcement officers that are lawfully executing the powers of their office. That's illegal. You have juries that won't convict. I recommend that the attorney general or whoever, the local U.S. attorney, DHS officers that knows Judge Schmo or Judge Mo or Judge Doe. Oh no, they're trying to kill the judges. Whoa! We'll hear that. But they may know a judge they can go talk to off the record and say, how do we do this? How do we get a change of venue going? Because we can't enforce this law. Because their juries are going to side with Mayor what's his name there? Mayor Fry, or with Governor Walz, or anybody else in this thing. Right. It may warrant there may be a lawful case, for change of venue based upon that fact. Now the venue may only get maybe across the state or somewhere else. I don't know, but I don't know how many districts are in Minnesota, but you're definitely not going to get a conviction in Minneapolis, most likely. All it takes is one juror. Now, jurors did, I think, come up on some evidence was kind of tainted, and they said if we knew that, we would have this kind of thing in one of the cases, I think. So again, just say it's just too dangerous to be out there. And that's the truth. If you don't want to say it's against the law, if you don't want to say all the other stuff, say it is just too dangerous to be out there. The state and the city want you all in, away from there. Go protest somewhere else. If you're the way it went, I wish I could find that video. And the sheriff's deputy was like perfect. He played into the video. Oh, she's getting arrested for obstruction of justice. Because they're doing, it was a great plan. They did a video as they're getting arrested. I'm being arrested for being, caring about immigrants. And the deputy was, you can tell he was a seasoned deputy. He's like, no, she's getting arrested for obstruction of justice. But again, those people were fine. I don't know if they're actually going to actually charge them with anything and just let them kind of community service or something, or even just let it go. Sometimes Back in the day, they let it go because that's what it was. It was very easy to just you wouldn't even get charged hardly at all. They just dropped the charge, right? Or the judge would say, "Yeah, we just don't do it again." So again, I don't even have a problem with people that chant slogans and march to a detention facility and sit down and just let themselves be detained, and they made their point. Right? They feel better about who they are, and they did what they believe they needed to do, but they really didn't cause like that type of disruption. Is not something that ICE is like, oh my god, oh my god. I mean, that's okay, But when you're trying to fight the officer that's arresting you, or banging drums and making noise and causing a disruption at that level, it's not effective. It's not getting you anywhere. It got you dead. In fact, once it reaches the Supreme Court, I believe there'll be some more discussion on that. I mean, the couple judges that you had are kind of in your court, and they're not speaking about what's actually going on around the officers to cause the disruption. Even Bavino may have just, initially forgot how it all went down. I've been there before. And then you're like, oh yeah, that's right. That, right. And again, when somebody's beating a drum and everybody's yelling, it's not as easy to recall the facts of the case when you have to recall it later. It's designed to cause a failure of reason. So again, that's why somebody got shot. Well, somebody got shot because they weren't reasonable and they tried to drive over an officer. That's probably one of the more clear-cut cases that there's ever been for that. So again, get your people out of the street. You could have a Republican governor. I don't know when the election is, November? You could have a Republican governor by next year. That chief of police knows not, I think he knows not to say much. Because we don't know what's going to happen. This is all unlawful stuff. The state could charge you all, but you have a Democratic Party in power. If it flips to Republicans, you could be charged next year. The governor, Walz could be charged for reckless endangerment and the other stuff. I know Trump's going to be looking at Trump and his people are going to be looking at them voter logs a lot closer, or lists and all that, right? To see if you get foreigners voting in your elections. I mean, Walz may be in by the vote of the Somalis, with a few other, foreign national organizations. So again, just get your people out of the street and away from the law enforcement officers and let them do their job. You're not winning anything. You're actually making it so that the swing voter goes back to Trump or stays with Trump. Because your statistics are false. That's why they made all the Democrats believe Kamala Harris was going to win. Because they're not going with Electoral College. It's going a popular vote. And when they make those phone calls, they're calling Latinos that can't vote too. Okay, I'm sure of it. Because Latinos have such a large number, I'm sure that's what's happening. That's why I say Latinos. And there are others, but Latinos can sway those polls. Believe me, they'll say, yes, I can vote, yes, yes. Kamala Harris, yes, yes. What I'm trying to say, it's no big feat to win Virginia after Trump cut the government workers. No big feat to win New York City. It is an up, I guess, to a certain degree, but again, the question is, can they maintain Texas? If they maintain Texas and Florida, then New York doesn't matter because they pulled out of New York to maintain Texas and Florida. Now, because there's assholes that live down there, a lot of them left. So I don't know how many. It could be Democrats leaving. It could just, I know there's Republicans that left. Again, I can't. What's her name? the trans woman. I forget her name. Blair White. Blair White left. I'm like, I knew you wouldn't like it. It's corrupt, man. She's not going to say it. You know, I don't know if she moved to Naples. Was she in Naples? There's a trans community in Naples. I don't know, but I don't find Naples people like decent at all, no matter who they are. It's like living with a bunch of, living in a community of people just ready to stab you in the back for anything, anything. Just offer me like a biscuit. I'll do it. They're that materialistic. Love thy neighbor is a sin in Naples, Florida. It's a sin, actually. I don't will things. So it isn't like if I say it, I have no will. If Hashem wants to apply it somehow, then that's up to God, God being Hashem. But I have no will. But all I'm saying is get your people out of the street. Get your people away from those guns. It doesn't make any sense. This is not, oh, we shall overcome Shelby, or not Shelby. What's it called? See, they build it away from me. Selma. Is Shelby out there? Hey, Shelby. Selma, Alabama. Sometimes that's what happens when I speak. So Selma, this is not Selma, Alabama moment. Right. In fact, you're actually partly doing what the cops were doing to the marchers and the civil rights people. Right. You're actually harassing. So the marchers there were trying to get away from the police to just do their thing, in a peaceful manner. Same thing with the police here. They're just trying to do their thing in a peaceful manner and get this forward the best way they can. You're all causing the other issues. And and what you're doing is when you show up, it's not the same detention. They have to worry more about what's going on around them, what this person might be put in their head to do. Again, and then they play it up. Most people that are detained by ICE, there is no agreement that they ever could be here. The majority. There's no agreement. The agreement was you come across the border, you get to stay here until we decide otherwise. We'll adjudicate your case. But again, that person screaming at the officer and the officers, you can hear it. That's because she's close to the camera. If she wasn't close to the camera, there's other people too. That causes that noise torture and the effects of noise torture. And they know it. For all that I say on the air, I'm never sitting there while cops are doing anything even close to that, except for supporting them. I've actually helped them with their operations, even after I left the government. We helped them catch a car theft ring. I help people that are Native Americans that are inebriated on the street. That type of thing. One man bear clan. I'm a one-man bear clan. Okay, just get your people off the street and get them safe. Put them somewhere else. Put them at the facilities. Again, even when you're at the facilities, you can't do what you're doing. You're doing it because your juries won't convict, and you know it. So again, the government has to seek somehow a change of venue so they can fix it. It's not about ripping anybody off. You have an opinion, they have an opinion, they won the election. I voted for Kamala Harris. I thought Kamala Harris was going to be real about it. Maybe she duped me. Maybe if she was there, you would do the immigration stuff right. I was hoping because she had been an attorney that she would do it right and understand, there is a balance here that we need to strike. Right. And of course, the Trump people were killing me in Kansas. Same way the Texas Trump people were killing me. Nobody was paying them. They just take money, man. You have to, as Trump, he has to control his people. Just because he's Trump doesn't mean he gets to, we just go for money and that's it. Agreed. But there's always been Democrats. And again, these people are both sides of the aisle. Well, I help every president when they get in. Whoever wins, I'm just like the old U.S. citizen, American person. We have an election, and then when it's over, whoever wins wins. And then you fix the country with that person the best you can. There were Republicans. That were, pro social safety net. We kind of had to leave at a certain point because we were being killed. Right. Conservatism includes the social safety net because it's based in Christianity and in, Judeo Christian Mohammedan ethic. But again, it's not Judeo Christian Mohammedan ethic to spend all that freaking money on fraud. And somebody gets a little burger and it costs $50 to feed them a burger because you're living large at the spa. Right. So I went through Santa Fe trying to do some stuff, and there was a woman who was semi-homeless, and I think she wasn't homeless at that point, and she was working at the shelter, and I forget. She made a complaint about something in the shelter. She said, "This is not up to standard. You're receiving federal funds, and I read that there's a certain standard, and we're not up to that standard." So she became me, I commended her, but I said, your life has just changed. And I said, if you get a lawyer, because she said, I'm going to get a lawyer. I said, if you get a lawyer, they may not represent you. They may represent them because they have more money than you. I said, this is the real world. I said, your life will change again if you get a lawyer. And you still won't win. Your lawyer will represent the others. That's what happened to me. Happened to my ex-wife, too. Well, I never got to the case, and then I said, forget it. The ACLU sold out. Right. The NAACP say, come see us. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not willing to do that one because you have to find the right person, but they would do it. Somebody would have done it, but I didn't know who it was. The NAACP was like, I know you're not black, but, we'll probably take the case if you come see us. But I didn't know where they were. There were ones in Camden. I was wondering if it was the ones in Camden, but, right, I don't know. Just I was kind of ready to move on at that point. Right. Now, the ACLU is not real. I don't know if the NAACP is real anymore, but back then, Philadelphia, Delaware Valley, some were real. Right. It was they somehow it probably would have been pretty cool because the white guy's case. But actually I think it was what's his name, Christie, that worked that one, so I couldn't sue there because it involved his people somehow. They create the haves and have-nots. Again, they're Democrats that create the haves and have-nots. So it isn't, this altruistic thing. Right. When it's altruistic, it's altruistic. When it's not, it's not. So again, get your people off the street. Get them safe. There's no reason for them to be there. There's no lawful purpose. It's actually felony. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.